Hi, I'm Mary Ann Moore. Welcome to the 2017 Heritage Home Tour. This is the 42nd annual tour, and for the first time, it will be a 4-day event. Thursday night, we will have a gala preview party out at the Kissing Tree 55 and over community on Hunter Road with a tent and music and magicians and lovely food to sample from local San Marcos restaurants. Friday will be a walking tour of downtown San Marcos where you'll learn all the magical things happening downtown. Then Saturday and Sunday, the highlights. We have 5 personal homes on tour and then 1 designer showcase, which is a currently vacant house on the market. We have 5 or 6 local interior decorators who will be bringing in furniture, furnishings, lamps, decorations, and magically transforming the house into a lovely interior design masterpiece. Then Saturday and Sunday, from the 12 to 5, there are these 5 homes that are open for you to go through, local homes, some historic, some not. And in addition, our presenting sponsor, Kissing Tree, has 7 or 8 model homes that you can go through, which are decorated beautifully. And so we look forward to welcoming you as you enter each house with our docents who will tell you interesting things about each house. And we appreciate your support of the Heritage Association of San Marcos. And now I'd like to introduce you to Kathy Dillon, this year's home tour chair. It is her 7th or 8th time of being chair of our home tours, and she is one of our San Marcos treasures. She's going to take you on a walking tour of Melbourne Street.
Welcome to the 2017 Heritage Home Tour. We are standing in front of the John Howard Barbie House, which was built in 1906. It's a classical revival style, and it's one of 6 houses in our historic area that are on this year's tour, one of which is a designer showcase. And there are also going to be 8 totally contemporary houses in newly built Kissing Tree, but all 14 of them are available to people on this year's tour, and they are all chosen for their fabulous interior design. So we hope you'll come and enjoy the home tour.
This year marks the 42nd year of the Heritage Home Tour in San Marcos. What's different this year is we have partnered with the Kissing Tree Development. The Kissing Tree Development is glad to partner with Heritage this year because they have put their development right in the middle of Stringtown, the oldest development that happened actually before the city of San Marcos was founded. Thousands of families settled on the old Burleson land grant. These families ended up being the most prominent families in San Marcos. This house is one of the houses built by one of the original Stringtown families.
We're standing now in front of the Lloyd Gideon Johnson house, which was built in the 1920s. This house was a private home for many years. But however, most locals know it as the Masonic Temple because it was that for many, many more years. And subsequent to that has been a private home 2 or 3 times. But in 1988, the Historic Association did its heretofore only designer showcase in this house. And it happened to be the biggest home tour we ever had because so many people wanted to come and get really good ideas for their own houses. And this is the Lloyd Gideon Johnson house.
So we're downtown, and if you don't know already, the home tour is coming up in early May, and it has a magical mystery theme.
We're going to do a magical history tour in downtown, a walking guided tour talking about what things used to be and what you remember them as. This was the old pharmacy, this was the old shoe store, all of those things. So if you haven't been downtown lately, or you have and you want to talk about what things used to be, come on down during the Heritage Home Tour for the walking tour called the Magical History Tour. We'll see you downtown.
The Heritage Home Tour here at the gallery, a reception that will feature all the artists in the gallery and an opportunity to honor all the designers that are participating in the tour.
This is the 42nd annual home tour. You might be interested in the fact that the very first home tour was right around the time of the America's Bicentennial in 1976. At that time, there was all kinds of urban renewal going on in downtown San Marcos. There were women in the Historic Association who wound up founding the Heritage Association, who were bound and determined that some of the old houses that really mattered were going to be saved, and that the riverfront was going to be saved. There had just been a big flood, and there was a lot of talk about rebuilding and doing commercialism along the river, and almost literally there was some laying down in front of the bulldozers that went on. So what we know today is the Charles S. Koch House, which was the home of San Marcos' first mayor. The money to move the Koch House to its current location and to save it came from the very first home tour, and then subsequent home tours allowed the land all along the river to be purchased and kept in its natural state, the gazebo to be built, the river walk to be built. That's all the Heritage Association, and that's where the home tour originated and why. And all these years it raises money for heritage preservation projects, which that's why we have the charm that we have today. It's very largely due to the perseverance of the women that started this group. San Marcos has 6 historic districts, but Belvin is arguably the queen of them because it was the first one, and it's probably the most architecturally significant. These beautiful Queen Anne houses and Victorian houses that we're surrounded with are in the middle of the largest intact residential historic district probably in Texas. So it's very important to keep it all intact with no commercialism in it at all. That's one of the things that we fight for. So here's a cool story. I talked a minute ago about the Charles S. Koch House downtown. That was the home of San Marcos' first mayor. Well, Charles S. Koch had 2 daughters. They were twins. Their names were Cecilia and Sibylla. And when they were married, in I don't even know when, probably the 1860s or 70s, they didn't marry brothers, but they got married in a double ceremony. And after their weddings, their father built them both a house right here on Belvin Street. And we are standing in front of them. And they are twin houses, although you would never know it if you hadn't heard the story, but it is true. One belonged to Cecilia and one belonged to Sibylla. And that's that house. They are architectural twins. They've just been remodeled differently over the ages, and of course the colors are different and the styles are different now. One looks real Victorian and one is a little more mission style. But they're the very same house, architecturally and floor plan wise, and one of those sisters had 10 children and the other didn't have any. And so can you just imagine how busy the alleyway between the two must have been all those years. I thought you might enjoy seeing the house that was the star of the very first home tour that ever was in 1976, or maybe it was 7, lost track, but anyway. And that would be this house, and it belongs to Mrs. Eleanor Butt Crook of the HEB family. And Eleanor and her husband Bill redid this house. It's the historic Ike Wood Mansion, which was built in the late 1880s. And Eleanor and her husband Bill totally redid it from the ground. It was just totally decrepit and falling down. This historic district at that time was just derelict. And they were one of the first people to redo their house. But at the end of that home tour weekend, Eleanor said she overheard a couple of little old ladies walking out of the front door of this house, one was saying to the other, "Isn't it amazing what a little coat of paint will do?"
That's awesome.
Now, and if you want, we can keep walking and I'll show you what our home tour this year is raising money for.
This is what we've been raising money for this year, the Talking Houses program. We want these houses to tell their own story.
So that's what this year's tour, as well as the last tour, are raising money for. And We've got a very large goal to meet this year, so we hope everybody will come.
San Marcos, they're getting ready to send out all of their envelopes. This is the PR nuts and bolts of the whole campaign. This is how Heritage Tours start and end, right, y'all?
There's lots of work.
That's right. Thank y'all so much for all that you're doing for our community.
Our pleasure. Thank you for filming it.
Yes, ma'am.